Good afternoon. This is Ryan Miller. I'm the founder of Parent Dome, where I've come to Periscope on a repeated occasion to speak about internet safety. And I talk about awareness, oversight, and controls from the dangerous risks, threats, and permanence of what happens online. And today I did a broadcast on Facebook Live that I was giving away some great information about concerns about going back to school, and I provided a PDF for those. It's like a checklist to help people be safe, resist the impulse, and be aware of some of the dangers with heading back to school. And I recognize that the message of Parent Dome it's a horrible message. It is not something that people really want to hear, let alone do they want to do anything about changing their behavior. Hi, Rafia. This is not a positive, uplifting, encouraging message, because I bring so much truth. It's very uncomfortable and people don't like it. And it's almost to the point of exhaustion that I stand here and I try to help people help themselves. And it's like I'm saying, you need to go on a diet, or you need to exercise, or whatever. It's a behavior thing. And I have very little ability to influence people changing their behavior until there's a problem. When there's a trauma that occurs and people hit my direct message inbox, they say, I've got a trauma, help me through my trauma. I'm like, we're reacting now. I have a proactive solution, but reactive, if you want me to deal with you reactively, that's a completely different relationship. And I'm here to help you proactively. If you get caught in the reactive side, I'm not your free consultant. I'm very sympathetic. I'm very empathetic to the problems that you encounter. I am. But I am not going to take the time repeatedly, because I invested hundreds and thousands of hours to help you proactively, help you change your behavior. And then when you experience the consequences of your behavior, you have to recognize me somehow. You have to recognize me somehow. I don't know how to help you to do that. I've given people multiple abilities and people do not choose to act on that. So I have to look at, I'm running out of bandwidth. I'm running out of bandwidth to be the guy that's putting myself out there to teach on this repeatedly over and over and over again, and nobody takes action. So I'm managing Brittany. So I wanted to do this broadcast. The power of anonymity. It's a sword for those that do not have a shield. Multiple platforms. This platform specifically allows people to participate with some level of anonymity. And that can be used for good. It can be used for harm. You don't know which those strangers are, those anonymous people are, if they're there for good or they're for harm. Now, I live in a world where I know that there are nasty people out there. Many people don't believe that, and they're okay with that nasty stuff until it becomes a problem. I don't know what is a problem for anybody else. I don't know. I know it's a problem for me. I know it's a problem for my family, for my daughter. I know some things that are problems for others because it comes in my direct message. People saying, this is happening to me. And I'm like, And oftentimes I say that the anonymity is you have accepted this already. By coming into the platform, you've acknowledged that you want to participate in this experience. You want to be on LiveMe, you want to be on Periscope, whatever, Snapchat. You want to be in that social media experience without concern of the potential risks or consequences by going into there. Joe Simon, who is well known on Periscope, who has now moved over to Busker, come in and brought all of his personality into this platform, and he received an incredible backlash of some pretty horrible stuff. But he was presented with the option. He could either continue to participate or he could disengage. He chose to stay engaged, and it wound up being a little bit more of a problem because he kept participating on the platform until he finally made the decision to leave Periscope and he went to another platform. And then that could be controlled and it could be brought to a lesser degree. Does that mean all of those problems are still not bothering him? Absolutely not. He is still experiencing problems from those people that were in the Periscope platform, that are saying things on 4chan and that are saying it on Reddit, and other people are getting involved in this communication. And it's horrible. because there are some mean, nasty, evil, mean-spirited people out there on the internet that they have nothing better to do than to cause harm. It is their form of entertainment, form of release, form of self-worth. There's all these psychological reasons behind why people behave this way. They've been bullied themselves. They have low self-esteem. There could be all kinds of reasons that people behave this way. But when you come into the platform, you have to understand that you're coming into a platform of strangers. And those strangers will attach to you. And how they will interact with you is only based upon your ability to see it. Some people are starting to recognize that their Twitter profiles are getting contaminated because of people attaching to them on Twitter with not so pleasant content on Twitter. Should you be surprised? No. Is it offensive? Maybe. Do you control it? No. There are people on Periscope that they're so focused on getting the followers and the hearts that they have no level of discernment as to who is actually attaching to them, those anonymous people. Now, I have modeled for others how I manage my broadcasts in accordance with broadcast rules, adhering to Periscope's terms of service and the community guidelines, that I choose to manage who attaches to me. I have criteria. You must have a photo. You must have a profile statement. If you say DNT in your profile, I will respect you and do not track. So don't track me. Don't attach to me if you do not want to be tracked. Don't follow me because I will remove you because you do not want to be tracked. You don't want to be attached to. So don't attach. And I also say have at least one video as to why you're on the platform. Why are you on Periscope? What brings you here? And if you can't meet those requirements and you want to follow me and you don't take that minimal step, I'm like, see you later. I don't need you to follow me. I'm not here for a social media celebrity. I'm here to help parents relative to decisions they make in modeling their own behavior and what they're doing with their own kids, what's going on inside the social media. Now, I've come to the realization and the wisdom of others that nobody wants to do anything about this. They say they want to do things about it, but they don't actually do anything to protect their kids. They say that they've done the things, but they have such limited knowledge and limited visibility as to what they need to do. They prefer to hold into their own little bubble and not look outside. When I say things about metadata, they don't even want to explore the consequences of metadata because that requires them to change their behavior. And behavior modification is one of the most difficult things to do. So I get all of this. So I'm at this crossroad that my value on Periscope bubbles over into a demand in Twitter because people can't communicate with me easily through Periscope. They can't communicate. Comments, and that's about it. They come into me through Twitter, and they direct message me on Twitter, giving me their trauma, their horror, their problems, and asking me for them to fix it. And I go, great, this sounds really horrible. It's unfortunate you're going through this. My best solution for you is to go over to Parent Dome, and you may want to check out this module. Go to Parent Dome, check out this module. And take the first steps. I'm not going to do free consulting for everybody that comes into my Twitter DM. Your commitment to my participation on Periscope is by tapping a screen. There's no skin in your game into my message. But tapping a screen doesn't tell me anything. It tells me that you can lift your finger and touch it onto a piece of glass to say, I'm alive in here. There's no substantive value for tapping the screen. There's no substantive value for when you share my broadcast out. It's a beautiful thing. I don't ask it. But my attachment to people in Periscope is non-existent because it's filled with strangers with all different types of intentions. Nice toes. Haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're doing well. So I don't ascribe what anyone's intentions are when they come into my broadcast. I have no clue what your goal is. I invite people to join me at Parent Dome and to join me on my Facebook page. And I do the videos and instruction. It's kind of a tough journey at the moment. Nice toes. It's kind of hard at the moment. I go back in tomorrow. Thank you. I go back I've been going back and forth to the doctors lately, which has been a pain in the neck, but I go into treatment tomorrow. Had some today. It's okay. It's all good. But I'm making a decision that my investment into the Periscope community doesn't have an offsetting return. I don't have a return. My return, I have better communication. I have people communicating with me frequently on Twitter, private messaging, but they want me to fix something for them. And I say, go to Parent Dome, go to Parent Dome, go to Parent Dome. I offer a $1 for 30 days. $1 for 30 days. The amount of people that are not even willing to spend $1 to experience 30 days of all the content I have based upon the amount of people that have come into my broadcast, I'm like, you obviously don't value me. You value me to top the screen, but you don't value me to the point that you're willing to part with $1 for 30 days. And that's fine. If you're in such financial straits that you can't afford $1, you better not be drinking Starbucks coffee. Because you're not willing to share a sip of your coffee with me. So, again, I'm not here on a financial push. I'm just looking for who's got skin in my game. And I don't have many people with skin in my game. So, in Periscope, I realize this is the dynamic. I get it. There's limited ability to interact inside here. It's very lecture-based. That's why I've been asking people to go into Facebook. I have much more value I can provide into Facebook. But very few people are making that move. They're making whatever statements about that. Don't even want to talk about that. Starbucks coffee is horrible. Starbucks has told me they don't want my business, so I will never give them my business. They flat out said they don't want my business, and I'm gladly not giving it to them. If you ever did study on DFU, I've done many lessons on DFU. People don't even know what DFU is. But DFU is alive and well and organized and structured. And when you pierce the veil to figure out what the heck DFU is, you're going to go, really? I'm going, listen, you can live in your bubble all you want. Stay in your little comfort zone. Stay in that little space with your blinders on and just doing kind little stupid sound bites. Like, what's going on in Charlottesville? People, you are so absolutely blinded. But Charlottesville didn't just happen, people. That had been put in motion for some time. It didn't just all of a sudden pop up. Oh my gosh. You had a structured process in which was going to ultimately result in what you saw. It was calculated, it was structured, it was premeditated on multiple sides. And just to culminate in the experience that we saw in Charlottesville. And you've got all of these emotions running around that because people are just want to be same thing that was completely orchestrated and calculated and methodical. It wasn't a reaction. It was an anticipated, predictable response. And it was controlled how it would be responded. But you know, you are so busy. I'm not saying you, like the people listening to me, but I'm saying people are so fat, dumb, and happy and lazy listening to crap that they're not really using their gray matter to listen to people that have so much more wisdom and don't have a horse in the race. I don't have a horse in the race because I don't have to depend upon sponsor advertising to toe this corporate line to pander to my audience. I can bring you unadulterated truth because I am not dependent upon some other political pressure. But you're going to tune into that stuff that makes you feel good based upon what you already believe. And when somebody comes with you with outside information, outside knowledge, which shakes the foundation of what you claim to be true, you're going to run and hide. Run and hide. That's the effect my messaging has. You don't like what I hear? See you later. Run away. I don't care. My kid, it's not my kid. My kid will never be involved in this. My kid has never been in an internet conversation where they've been bullied. No, because I don't bully myself online. I would love to get all of my listeners and just to pull up all their Facebook posts and take a look at how they communicate on Facebook and Twitter and see if they are active bulliers themselves. I know that I have the ability to be a cyberbully myself. I'm involved in a conversation right now with somebody who is talking about Charlottesville, and they started out by building a straw man. And I called them out saying, you're starting from a lie. I'm willing to have a conversation with you, but acknowledge that you're building a false narratives to support your desired outcome. Called a straw man so you can rip it down. And now we're getting into reasoned discussion, but you can't really have that on Facebook. But I have the ability that I can totally blow up on this person and just sit and exit that conversation. Then, unfortunately, many people won't go toe-to-toe. They won't go toe-to-toe. You can't go toe-to-toe on Facebook. You can't go toe-to-toe in Twitter, and you can't go toe-to-toe in Periscope. It's such a limited type of communication. But as much as I want to continue sharing my concerns, my passion about wanting to protect children that are being completely programmed and indoctrinated with this touchscreen device right in front of the parents with their complete willingness and complicit behavior in relinquishing that responsibility to them, effectively putting a weapon and a vehicle in the hands of a 6-year-old. And parents, you own that. Parents, you own that. That's your responsibility. And when your child does something that is weaponized with that weapon, or they get into an accident without having the understanding and the responsibility, parents, you own that. You can't unwrestle from that. You may want to blame somebody else, blame the predator, blame the perpetrator, blame the bully, blame the platform, anybody but looking at the mirror and looking what you've empowered your children to do from your own behavior and your own ignorance. Ignorant meaning you don't know. Lack of knowledge, you don't know. I'm here to shatter that ceiling of knowledge and say, stick your head up above the fray and say, there's something else out here that's oxygen that we can breathe that is real, as opposed to this constant programming we're receiving. My energy to that effort is waning because the responsiveness to this audience, Periscope, while be it I get hearts, I get 12, 13 people into a broadcast, it's the same 12, 13 people. It's the same people, and I love you for coming in and listening to me. But this platform doesn't want this message. This platform wants the ability that they can do whatever they want and get away with it. That's what they want. When you come into Periscope, that is the behavior. Do what I want, and I want to be able to get permission to do whatever I want and get away with it. Because there's no accountability inside of Periscope. To complain about what happens in Periscope means that you have not read the terms of service. Everything that is live in Periscope's platform is approved as approved content, sanctioned and endorsed by Periscope. Every live broadcast you see in Periscope is sanctioned and approved by Periscope. If it were not sanctioned by Periscope and approved, that Periscope wouldn't be live. That's called logic. Hi, Deborah. That's called logic. Twitter and Periscope have a self-defined zero tolerance policy relative to certain content. That will be violent in nature, that will be sexually provocative in nature, and that will be exploiting of minor children. So they have a zero tolerance policy on that. So if you ever see content that meets your definition of sexually objectifying or violent, that doesn't matter because Periscope agrees that it meets their terms of service because it's still live. The only basis in which a broadcast could be seen in violation of Periscope's terms of service is when you don't see it. When you don't see it. This is an issue. And it's not an issue that I'm going to explain to people over and over again and complain about somebody who came into a broadcast and said whatever they said to you inside of a broadcast, or was able to dox you, or was able to find your personally identifiable information and connect with you on other platforms, or to get your home phone number, to find your vehicle license, or to find what your mortgage was, or that you have a Capital One credit card. Information that is matter of public record is a matter of public record. The fact that you are not aware of what is in the public record is not my problem. I try to educate you that you should be very concerned about what is part of the public record, because the public record means it's public. And doxing is not taking public information and making it public. It's taking private information and making it public. That's doxing, people. Private information, taking it public. But if your information is a matter of the public record and people making it public, that's not doxing. I feel sorry for people that don't understand that, and how uncomfortable that must be when you think things are private, but they're actually public. Because you tell yourself a story to make yourself feel good until all of a sudden that stuff comes bubbling up and you're like, what do I do now? Let's send an email to Ryan and say, how do I figure this out? Because this information is coming at me and these people are saying inappropriate things about me in this particular community and it's hurting my reputation. I'm like, go to Parent Dome. Go to Parent Dome. Spend $1. Read through this module. If you can't do that, I've got no ability to help you. I have zero ability to help you because you're not willing to help yourself. You're not willing to help yourself. I am not going to spend more energy to help you than you're willing to help yourself. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I have been spending way too much energy trying to help other people than they're willing to help themselves. It's time to shift gears. Shift gears. 11 people, you can find me over on Facebook. I will be over on Facebook, talking on Facebook Live, providing stuff on Facebook Live, and hopefully that will be more value because I'm going to be doing other things in Facebook Live than just Parent Dome. And Parent Dome is obviously not a message ready for today. It may be ready for a Dr. Phil, Natalie, cash me outside kind of audience, but not to the point where they will do anything. Dr. Phil, if I wrote a book and I went on Dr. Phil, the audience wouldn't buy the book wouldn't buy my book. Dr. Phil would have to give the audience my book. And would the audience read the book? Probably not. Because it's about them changing their behavior, and people don't want to change behavior. They want a fix. Give me an app for that. Give me an app for that. And I'm in the process of giving people app-based solutions. Giving them app-based solutions. And right now, anonymity is great because if I can teach you how to be anonymous, I can teach you how to be anonymous. You can do whatever the heck you darn well please on social media and give yourself a get-out-of-jail-free card because nobody is prepared to deal with you being anonymous. Nobody is prepared to deal with you being anonymous. Nobody on Periscope is equipped or prepared for strangers that come to them. So it's up to you as to what kind of person you want to be hiding behind anonymity. You can do it for good or you can do it for bad. Anonymous, meaning you create alias. You create virtual identities. You don't tie yourself to a physical account. You don't tie yourself to a Twitter account. I am a huge proponent that you don't use your real name. Don't use your real name anywhere. Anywhere. You're a walking billboard. With your name is a walking billboard. And then everything that's personal that happens on the internet is attached to that billboard. in addition to the public information is attached to that billboard. It's kind of like you're walking around with your name. If you're in a business where your name is your business, you're at greater risk because your behavior that you do online, it directly attaches to your profession. It directly attaches to your profession. So even though you may want to have these different personalities or personas, I call it schizophrenia or the chameleon. You have the professional identity, you have the friend-based identity, you have the community-based identity, you have the church-based identity, and these have similarities, but they're all also very independent. And when you're out in the social media, nobody knows which identity we are, and they cross-pollinate, and one affects the other. One affects the other. And if your name is your career and your profession, you have to be very careful in how you're managing those other personas. Because people will say, who are you really? Who are you really? Are you Dr. John, the pharmacist? Are you Dr. John, the spiritualist? Are you Dr. John, the militant veganist? Or are you Dr. John, another personality which we don't know? And I'm just using Dr. John as an example. I'm saying these are aspects of John's personality which I know. The pharmacist, the vegan, the spiritualist. But there's other personalities that I don't know about John, what he's like in his friend community. I don't know if he does upside down keg stands smoking hookahs. I don't know that. But if he did, if he was doing upside down keg stands with a bunch of girls doing half naked yoga, and that was seen by his professional career, I would say that may have some unintended consequences. I'm saying his employer may not like that aspect of him being actively social, doing upside down keg stands, smoking a hookah with half naked yoga girls. Possibly. Yes, they could. You would isolate, yes, your spirituality, your activeness in your spirituality could disenfranchise those that have different beliefs. Absolutely. Same with your veganism. It could ostracize those that don't have the same feeling that you do about veganism. It can ostracize them. So if that is your mission to constantly speak on those things, understand that you're alienating that portion of the audience. And whether it's part of your career, if it's happening inside the walls of your employer and your employer says, keep doing it, I don't care about that, or this is good. But that my point, not to talk about you specifically, John, I'm talking about these different aspects of who we are. Different aspects of who we are. And we all do it. We all do it. To say we don't, we're lying to ourselves. We're lying to ourselves because I know who I am and I know how I communicate on different platforms and how I communicate to different audiences and what hat I put on when I talk to them. You're not a meat lover. I'm not getting my meds from you. Right. That could happen. That could totally happen. Carnivore. Yep. That could totally happen. If you don't love meat, I'm not getting my meds from you. And that has employer unintended consequences. Ignorance does not discriminate, John. Ignorance is a human condition because not all humans have 100% of all knowledge. So we all lack knowledge. So we're all ignorant. We're all ignorant. I'm using the Greek, not the Latin, because I'm not calling people ignoramus. But I'm saying we all don't have 100% knowledge. So we lack knowledge, so we're all ignorant. To the degree of our ignorance, it's a spectrum. It's all over the place. What we struggle with is denying our ignorance and creating a false illusion to keep ourselves from doing, from taking action. From my messaging about being safe online, we create all of this false narrative, these false stories, which are delusional. Delusion is when you have all evidence contrary to any claim that you make. My child is safe online. You have no evidence that supports your child is safe online, and you see all this behavior online, and you're even experiencing the behavior yourself online, and you're saying it's not happening to your child. That's delusional. You're living in a complete delusion because it's happening to you, it's happening to others, and you're claiming you have no evidence that what's happening to your child, but it's not happening to them. That's not healthy, people. That's psychotic. So my hope has been that I could pierce the conscience of people, that they would take the slow and gentle steps on how to reclaim the relationship with their children, as opposed to defer it to what's going on devices like this and what's happening in the video games and what's happening everywhere else. And that hope is a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale, because for everything that I hope and the amount of eyes and ears that I reach, the amount of people that actually penetrate with my message is fractional percentage. Fractional percentage. So I could be standing in front of an audience of 2,000 people at a school. And of those 2,000 people inside of the school, maybe 200 will be tuned into what I'm saying, and maybe 20 will be agreeing with what I'm saying, and maybe 2 will be brought to the point in which they want to do something about it, and 1 may actually do something. 1 may actually spend $1. So I have to get before 2,000 people to get 1 to spend $1, but they won't stay because it's uncomfortable for them to deal with that they now have some ownership on what their children are doing online. And they don't want to own that. It's easier to blame the government, blame the corporations, blame the police, blame the teachers, as opposed to look in the mirror and say, I got some ownership here. And I say all of this like I'm judging you, and I'm not, because I know I have to hold myself to the same standard, and I fail miserably at doing this myself. I know I suck at doing it too, because there are times where I do really well, and there are times where I completely suck. And I am dealt the consequences of not being the parent that I should be. And that consequence is what's going on with my kid, and how I have to navigate that with her in managing my relationship with her and her peers after I let something go by that I should have had my eyes on. And it's uncomfortable. But I can't blame my kid, and I can't blame that other person. I can only blame myself, because I allowed this to happen right underneath in my eyes. Right in front of me. I chose, I'm too busy. I don't feel well. I'm exhausted. I can't deal with this right now. Now, those may have some level of validity to them, but at some point, I have to have enough energy. At some point, my relationship with my child has got to be of such importance. That's like blaming the fork. It's like blaming the fork for eating too much. Don't blame the tool. Blame the operator. Don't blame this. Blame the people that are using it, and blame the people that put it in the hands of those ill-prepared to use it. No, accountability doesn't exist. There's been a societal shift that accountability is a 4-letter word. Accountability is a 4-letter word. Responsibility is another 4-letter word. Transparency is another 4-letter word. We shouldn't talk about those things. And you will be vilified if you talk about those things. And I'm used to being vilified. So this may be kind of like a farewell message. Very rarely. Brax to me has become something other than what it was intended to be. And it's not a platform which I think it's good for certain things, but for what it's not a good platform for my participation. And that's not a Ryan statement, that's a Parent Dome statement. What is happening in the Brax environment does not align with the mission of Parent Dome, so Parent Dome does not participate in that platform. and it's just it's antithetical. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Mm-hmm. I have spoken about that, and I've spoken about it in detail. And some people have asked questions about it directly, and I've answered them directly. And I have no ill will towards Rob whatsoever. Um, Rob is doing what he is doing, and this is the wonderful thing about the internet. We can disagree, and we can do whatever we do in a different direction. My mission is one direction. His mission is a different direction. I can't have my mission tied to the way he is going about his mission. So the best way for me to do that is to remove myself, to remove Parent Dome from Brax, because I'm about keeping people safe online. That's keeping people safe online. That's Parent Dome. Talking to parents and caregivers how to protect their kids online from the dangers, risks, threats, and permanence of what happens online. I'm not equipping and or making available or teaching how to equip and empower people to cause harm. Now, when you do not have the ability to discern who you're talking to, and you must either acknowledge, that's okay. I do want to say this though. If you have no ability to discern who you're talking to, you're either living in a world where evil doesn't exist, or you're not talking to evil people. Now, because the Periscope does have the ability of anonymity, I control who I speak to. I control my audience better than many other people on Periscope, and there's areas that I can improve. But other people that do not control their audience, that do not block their audience, they don't know who they're talking to. Their intentions may be good. Their intentions may be noble. But if you're talking to a stranger, you're hoping that you're going to equip them with the ability to do good. And by you saying, don't do this for evil, doesn't mean people will not use it for evil. I have to disconnect from that. Disconnect from that. I will not put the power of knowledge, information, tools, and resources out there so easily for people to be better predators, better sextortionists, better cyberbullies. That's not my goal. My process is much more strict in how I dole out information and how I make information available. My choice, my path, my mission, my business, my leadership. That is completely my choice. You may disagree with it. That's okay. That's where Rob and I disagree. So I'm going to hold true to what I do and stand guilty accused of not trying to equip people to cause harm. Guilty as charged. I make it very difficult. And I will not associate with somebody that makes it easier for people to cause harm. I don't care what he says or what he does. The reality is that he has made a device available publicly through Brax, publicly through Brax. It is a Brax product because it's even labeled on the Brax page that you can gain access to this piece of equipment that can be used to achieve additional anonymity, which could be used to cause harm. And you just transact and you can buy that device and you can accomplish, you can go on down that path. Parent Dome will not be associated with that. Flat out. So that just means, again, I'm not angry, upset at Rob. Rob can do whatever he wants. Brax, as a company, can do whatever it wants. I fear that what Brax is doing in the social space may have some enterprise implications. I've talked about that, but that's not really of concern to Rob. That's not a concern to him. And he doesn't think that's an issue. And that's okay. I bring my wisdom, and you can accept it or reject it. Who am I? I'm just another person on Periscope that has a different set of ideas, and you can accept and reject. And I've said everything that I've needed to say in a certain period of time, and pretty much I've said, I'm out. I'm out. And that's all a brand decision, not a personal decision, not a relationship decision. It is all about my trajectory as a brand, specifically for children, to keep children safe online. I don't mind saying that of all of the predators that I have been involved, participated in, responsible for them being punished in various degrees, both civilly and criminally, and put in jail, 90% of them have been using the tools in which Rob is promoting. 90% of those people that I have been responsible for getting them locked up have been using the tools in which Rob is promoting. So effectively what I have is somebody out there trying to make my job harder and trying to secure and capture those bad people. So why would I associate myself with someone who is giving the tools to a broader audience? And here's the crazy thing. And I'm just going to say this because it should be said. It should be said. Periscope is public. Periscope is permanent. There is no private audience on Periscope. Every one of Rob's broadcasts is being shared on Twitter. Every one of Rob's broadcasts is being shared on Periscope. Every one of his broadcasts are being shared on Facebook. It is public and it is permanent. He has no privacy when he is talking about the things he does inside of Periscope. So when he talks about these tools and he holds up that little box and says this thing and whatever he says about that, it is all over the internet. He's talking about it inside of Facebook. He's talking about it on Twitter. It's showing up on YouTube. It's showing up on 4chan, and it's showing up on Reddit. And all of those places, you have no idea who you're talking to. I fear that I am, no fear. My reality is that there are people acquiring that device to cause harm, making my job harder to protect your kids. Protect your kids. So I don't ignore that this is happening. I know this is happening, and he's not the only one doing it. And that all I have is another person out there that's making my job harder to protect your kids. My mission is to make you aware so you can be proactive in protecting your own kids from people that are going to gain access to tools like this. And if you're out there pimping that tool too, you're making my job even harder. If you're out promoting that tool on your social media platform, you're making my job harder. So I would ask you, if you're aware of what I'm talking about and you've promoted that inside of Facebook or Twitter or inside of Brax, please leave my broadcasts. Please leave my broadcast. Do not follow me anymore. I don't need to have more people promoting bad stuff out on the internet to make my job harder. So if you're one of those people that have purchased it, talked about it, promoted it, shared it without any discernment as to who you're giving it to, please leave my broadcast. Unfollow me. Unfollow me. Because I don't need our relationship that bad. I don't need it that bad. For whatever value you've provided to me by hearting or commenting at a broadcast doesn't mean that much to me compared to the effort that I need to go out there and help protect these kids. Understand that in the love in which I'm giving it. I love you to the point that I'm willing to say, please go away. I'm going to do my best, as long as I can, to talk to parents about this. I will be available when you're caught in that trouble. And I'm going to say, go over here, go over here. If you're willing to talk, I'll talk. People need to know. I don't know whether they need to know. I don't think they want to know, Nice Toes. They don't want to know. I'm an uncomfortable message. I don't know who you are to know whether I would entrust you with the tool and the power and the knowledge of that. As I always say, internet safety and privacy is 10% technology, 90% behavior. I don't know what your behavior is that 10% technology is going to help fix. I have no idea what anybody's behavior is online that 10% technology is going to fix it. It's not. People don't have a browser isolation strategy. They don't have a disinformation strategy. It's all impulse. They don't think. And they think that by using this kind of tool, they're going to hide themselves. No, you're not. It's not hiding. You just put a bigger bullseye on your back. That's the crazy thing. You don't realize the bullseye you put on your back. The bullseye is bigger and it's bolder and it's got the attention of agencies that you don't necessarily want the attention of, because you're not prepared for what happens when those agencies start tracking you. You have no clue when you start using that tool and you go through those multiple router hops, who's peeking in on you and who's attached to you, and how many letters associated with those agencies that are keeping eyes on you and now monitoring you more than you've ever been monitored before, but you haven't addressed your behavior one bit. You've bought this illusion of a tool that I can get some additional distance and anonymity, but I'm going into a platform and a tool that's got greater visibility and greater access to deep state type of involvement and say, look at me. And you don't even know what words not to say. You don't even know what words not to say. I created a video of all the words not to say, and people still say them. And I say, don't say them in a specific order. Don't use more of these words in one particular sentence or series of sentences, because you're going to get even in more trouble. Not that the trouble's going to hit you tomorrow, but it's all going to start popping. It's all going to start popping. And you think it's not building to a crescendo right now with what's happening in our country? You're delusional again. That just further substantiates the delusion. And you'll come to me and I'll go, you know what? Here's what you're going to do. No, I won't accept PayPal. No, I will not accept your credit card. In order to gain access to this module, you're going to have to spend $29.95, and it's going to be through Bitcoin. Send it through Bitcoin. No questions asked. Do not pass go. You want this module? $29.95, Bitcoin. Want this module? $15.95, Bitcoin. I won't have time, because all of a sudden this is going to be such a huge problem, and people are like, where are we going to go to get help? Well, there's this guy that's been talking about this. Go talk to him. And my Twitter DM is going to fill up. I'm going to send this auto reply. Go to Parent Dome. Go to Parent Dome. Go to Parent Dome. And I'm going to take down the PayPal, and I'll take down the credit cards and say Bitcoin only. Bitcoin only. Then you're hosed. Oh, Ryan, we just got audited by the IRS. Yeah, that's unfortunate. You must love the IRS. You must love them. They must be good friends of yours, because it's probably not going to be the only time you're going to get audited. You'll probably get audited again and again. So get cozy with the IRS. They're going to be your best friends. Or others. All right. I'm bowing out. I'm going to cozy. Yes, you're going to have a fiduciary responsible relationship with government entities because of your own behavior. Because of your own behavior. So you came in late, Angel. So that's related to the other stuff I was just talking about a moment ago. So everybody have a great day, and I'll see you when I see you. I'll be spending more time over in Facebook Live and providing value over there, and maybe you'll join me there. Maybe you won't. It's okay. Take care, everybody.